Schedule release. Here it is, the 2025 Texans campaign. We have the games. We have the dates. We have the places. We have most of the times. Mark Vandermeer and John Harris with you. And Johnny, biggest takeaway from the schedule, we have 4 primetime games plus a Saturday late in the season and an opener on the West Coast taking on the Rams in L.A. to start the season with a 3:25 Central start before you head home to face the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. That stands out to me right away, but there are many other things.
I got a little nervous earlier in the week when we were guessing at the schedule, and I knew we weren't going to Brazil. You started seeing some of the games that were popping up, and I thought, man, this is going to be a divisional game to start.
Yeah, that's what we figured.
And I also thought, I don't know, man, maybe they're kind of souring the Texans. Maybe we're not going to get those prime time or national TV windows. And I was wrong on both. We start against the NFC West on the road. Last time we have started in California start the season was 2013. Beat the Chargers that night, won the next week, and then lost a bunch of them in a row. But we won't talk about that.
And that Charger game was at a specific time, which comes into play this season. We'll get to that in a few moments, but it's at the Rams, home against Tampa Bay, Monday Night Football, Liberty White kickoff, going to be awesome against the Bucs, and it's a 6 p.m. start time. That means there's a doubleheader that night, so you get the early window, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely getting an early window. The second part of what I was saying was you got 4 night games, 2 Monday nighters, a Sunday night on the road, which we haven't done.
Yeah,
I know since I've been in the building, and then a Thursday nighter. So you get 2 of those at home. The Thursday nighter against the Bills. You get the Monday nighters we mentioned against the Bucs. If there is one where you look at and go, whoa, coming off the bye, Monday night at Seattle, a 9 o'clock Eastern time kick. Yeah.
That's in the second sort of quarter of the season because after the Buccaneers, let's get to this. After the Buccaneers, you go to Jacksonville, home to Tennessee. So 2 division games right there in the first 4.
Right.
And then at Baltimore, noon start Central time, early bye, week 6.
Yep.
Earlier than I think anybody would like.
Right.
But it is what it is. Last year, you had a bye that was later than anybody would like, and it was what it was. You still ended up in the divisional round of the playoffs, but we all know we talked a lot about how that bye may or may not have affected the Texans being so late after the early start with the training camp beginning in mid-July because of the Hall of Fame game. After the bye, it is at Seattle. Monday Night Football, like you said, Johnny, and that 9 o'clock start is highly notable for a number of reasons. It's the second half of a doubleheader. They did the same thing in 2013. You mentioned it. After that, it was really a rough go for the Texans, not because of that late start, but it was just a rough go.
Yeah.
But you're going to get back from that game, and it'll be rush hour when you're coming back from the airport from IAH, from Bush to NRG Stadium in the team buses. You'll be going with the traffic and not in a good way on the way to work, and hopefully you win that game. It'll be a lot more pleasant of a ride, but it'll be daylight probably when you get back. So I point that out, woe is me, whatever. Woe is the Texans. You'll get through that, but you got a short week, super short week to get ready for the 49ers after that Seattle game. And D'Amico Ryan's former employer, he should be ready for that one.
Well, if there's a game that you'd like to have, or if you could pick when it comes to preparation, you'd probably want the 49ers in that situation because if anybody's going to know the 49ers, it's going to be one D'Amico Ryans.
Yep.
So I would imagine they're going to know it. Matt Burke was with the Arizona Cardinals. They were playing the 49ers. So getting the 49ers after a long trip like that. But once you get back from Seattle, a couple of things. Number one, last year we talked about 13 in a row before the bye week.
Yeah.
Now we've got the bye week and then 12 in a row.
Yep.
Now, you do get it split up a little bit there with the Bills, the Thursday night game, which gives you a little mini bye there. But once you get back from San Francisco, you have 11 games left. 7 of them will take place at NRG Stadium.
That is awesome.
7 of your final 11 to take place at NRG Stadium.
That's big.
And that is massive. So if you can come out of that top 5 and you can be 3-2, 4-1. I mean, it'd be great to be 5-0, but that'd be tough, especially because you got the Ravens. You got to go to the Ravens right before the bye.
Never have won there.
But you never won there. And you've never won at Seattle. So you get those games, not back-to-back, but at Baltimore, bye, at Seattle.
And it's a long bye because it's Monday night. You won't leave till Sunday, so
That's
you
right.
get a little extra day at least for the players.
But that 3-game set after that with Niners, Broncos, Jags at noon. I think that
All
helps.
at home.
All at home. 3 in a row. And when we did our mock schedule the other day, we were trying to come up with it. This has happened before 2018. It was the only time I can remember it's happened is in 2018 where we had 3 in a row. We had the Titans, the Browns, the Colts at home, and that was the year of the streak. And it was that last one where the Colts broke the streak because we had won 9 in a row, but we had beaten the Titans. That was obviously the Monday night game. This one's for you, Bob, game, as I always remember it. Beat the Browns, a lot of interceptions against Baker Mayfield, but then lost to the Colts. That's when we had 3 in a row. It is tough to win 3 in a row at any point. 3 in a row at home, 3 in a row on the road, but I'd much rather have those 3 at home before going to Tennessee. So when you come off of a 3-game homestand, you're like, all right, man, buckle up. Here we go. We got to play, the Rams or the Chargers. No, we play the Titans.
Right.
And look, the Titans could be a much better football team, and I expect that. And it's always tough to go win at Tennessee. But it's something the Texans have done lately. But then you got to gear up after coming home a Thursday nighter against the Bills.
Yeah. So you get back from Tennessee.
Yeah.
At least you're home for the Thursday night game.
That's right.
The team that has to travel, I always feel, has a weakness.
Yes.
And the Bills have to travel here. And I think it's harder for their fans to invade your stadium November 20th, although that is Thanksgiving weekend. So maybe, is it?
No.
It leads into it. It leads into Thanksgiving
the week
vacation.
of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it leads into Thanksgiving vacation.
Yeah,
So it's
but
not
I'd
a
much rather,
game.
you're right, I'd much rather play Buffalo on a Thursday night than a Sunday night. Bills Mafia will find a way, but
maybe less.
Maybe a little less on a Thursday night.
So Thursday night Bills, then the mini bye, as you say, because you don't play that weekend, then at Indianapolis. And as opposed to last year when you were done with the Colts before November with the 2 games against Indy, now you don't even start up with them until after Thanksgiving. It'll be the last weekend of November, November 30th at the Colts. And then at Kansas City, Sunday Night Football to open up the December slate. That is definitely a challenge. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, and we all know how many close games they won last year, and you were competitive with them through 3 quarters in the playoff game and the regular season game. But we'll see how that shakes out this year.
This crew has been there.
Yeah.
They've played. Now, they were earlier games, obviously, but they've been there. They've been even, the second half of that game against the Chiefs, it was dark. The lights were on. I mean, you're playing in a playoff environment.
Yeah.
And obviously did make the plays in the fourth quarter. But you've been there against this team. This group, for the most part, has been there against that Chiefs team.
And they know that's the hump they got to get over.
Exactly. They know that's at least one of them. Now, you come out of that, and you got 2 games at home against 2 teams that they're sort of wild cards to me with Arizona and the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like Arizona, I think you look at it and think, man, they could be good. Look at their individual talent. And I think they're going to be a tough out no matter what. And
a lot
of
pressure.
The Raiders, you just never know.
Right.
If Geno is on, man, that Raiders team could be really good. They've got incredible talent at key spots on that team. And I think they've really bolstered that team. Ashton Genty that late in the year is going to be fun. But the 2 things, the couple things that stand out, obviously we talked about, but getting the 3 in a row at home after the Seattle Monday night game, and then getting 3 of the final 4 at home. I think all of that's huge. Now, I would love for week 17, week 18 to not matter.
Right.
That would be kind of nice for it to not matter.
Oh, that'd be huge.
But that said, hopefully it does matter so we can get a 3 seed or a 2 seed and get a 2 seed and maybe play that divisional playoff round if we're thinking playoffs going forward. So I like having the 3 in a row at home. I like the 3 out of 4 on the road. It's tough to start at the Rams, and this schedule is going to be tough no matter how you look at it. But I know that Seattle thing, you and I talked about that before we kind of got on air here. Like, that's a late, you're right. We're going to be Tuesday morning traffic, we
always think of it like we have radio to do the next day, for our purposes. Let's get our priorities straight
now, Kansas City is going to, that's a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little tough. We might have to roll right into studio. I might be staying in studio here for the next day for Texas Monday. But that said, look, we knew this was going to be a hard schedule. When you and I did the mock schedule, we went, man, wow.
And by the way, there's at least one we got right on the mock schedule because you mentioned the finishing kick here. Mm-hmm. Final 4 games of the season, 3 of them at home, Arizona, the Raiders. And you mentioned the Cards. I think they're under a lot of pressure with Jonathan Gannon. They've got to win this year. Yep. Otherwise, that regime could be gone. You never know.
Yep, you're
and
right.
the Raiders with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith. Then you go to the Chargers on a Saturday. Now, they don't have a time for this one yet.
Right.
But it's a Saturday game at the Chargers late in the year, so it's a short week after the Raiders. We'll see how all that plays out, but at least it gives you a little more time for, if it's a big game,
right,
your last game of the regular season, Indianapolis at home. I love this. Play the Colts at home like you did 2 years ago on the road. This could be big, or it could be the Colts are just playing out the string, but you need the game anyway, or maybe you don't need the game, and we don't know until we get there. But I like that the league put the Colts right there. I think that has to happen. You have to have Texans, Colts in there till further notice because these games could be big down the stretch.
The other thing we talked about, I said it, I thought it would be cool and it would be fun if we could play the two LA teams in back-to-back weeks and then stay out there. If you're not going to do that back-to-back weeks, then separate them. And I think they've done that.
Yeah.
Our first game is a trip to the West Coast. Then we go back to the West Coast in week 7. We go back to the West Coast in week 17.
Not bad.
So they gave us the best situation. If you're not going to have them back-to-back where you can stay out there, then separate them as much as you possibly can. And they've done that with the LA trips in week 1 and week 17, and then Seattle after the bye. So from a equity fairness standpoint, okay, if it's not going to be back-to-back, then go ahead and separate them as much as you can, and they've done that.
Now, quickly here, preseason, you're going to open at home against the Vikings.
No, at Minnesota.
Oh, it's at
Minnesota.
You go road, home, road.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Yes,
Right.
because you have the 9 home games in the regular season. Thank you. I'll get that right. Anyway, the Vikings will be on the road. No date or time yet for that one officially. Carolina at home. That's the one preseason home game in that middle week. Then you finish it off at Detroit, and then you have Labor Day off and then go on with the regular season. So there's your schedule, and get your tickets today, HoustonTexans.com. Get season tickets. I don't know if we have any left, but we might. You know, there might be some availability in the building, and you want to pack that place. We need the Texans fans in there for the 9 home games. You mentioned it. You have 7 of your last 11 at NRG Stadium. Get a home field advantage for the playoffs and take it from there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Go Texans.